My name is Emily, and my life up until that moment had been anything but extraordinary. It was a life wrapped in the familiar comfort of routine. Every morning, I woke to the soft hum of the coffee machine, the steam curling up in delicate tendrils, filling the kitchen with its rich scent. The world outside my window, a sleepy corner of Boston, stirred at its usual pace, neither too fast nor too slow. It was a world I knew well, a rhythm that kept everything in place. I'd sit at my kitchen table, laptop open, my fingers tapping softly against the keys as I responded to emails and planned for the day ahead. The distant murmur of the TV played softly in the background, a voice narrating the morning news. It was nothing out of the ordinary. The sun peeked through the gray sky, hinting at rain but never quite delivering. It was one of those days that seemed destined to pass quietly, like all the others. I had plans for the weekend, errands to run, dinner with friends. Life was predictable, stable, and for me that was enough. I had no reason to expect that everything I knew would be upended in the span of just a few moments. The first sign of trouble came suddenly, almost imperceptibly. A dull pressure at the back of my head, a headache, I thought. One of those pesky things that comes and goes. Maybe from too much screen time. Maybe I hadn't had enough water. I brushed it aside, determined to power through my day. But then it became something more. A sharp, stabbing pain that burrowed deep inside my skull. It felt as though my brain itself was being squeezed, a vice tightening around my head. I gasped for air, my breath catching in my chest. My knees buckled beneath me, and I stumbled, reaching out for the edge of the counter, but my hands felt alien, trembling uncontrollably. My fingers no longer obeyed my commands. My vision blurred, the edges of my surroundings melting into unnatural darkness. The apartment I had known so well was slipping away, as if it were dissolving into nothing. Panic should have flooded me, but instead, a strange calmness washed over me, enveloping my being. I tried to move, to speak, but my body betrayed me, unresponsive to my desperate pleas. The nausea that surged through me was cold and relentless, pulling me into a depth I couldn't understand. I felt like I was falling, but I couldn't comprehend where or why. And then there was nothing. Silence. Weightlessness. I expected to feel the familiar sensation of the floor beneath me, the jarring pain of a fall, but there was nothing. No impact, no earth beneath my feet. Just nothing. Not eerie stillness, as if I were suspended between two worlds. I looked down and saw myself. First, it didn't make sense. My body lay motionless on the ground, arms sprawled awkwardly, face eerily still. Was I breathing? Was I even alive? Panic should have surged again, but it didn't. Instead, I felt a strange serenity, a deep calm that filled me, as though something much greater than myself was holding me steady. I tried to move closer to my body, to shake myself awake, but it was as if I was made of air, passing through everything I touched. I reached out, but my hands, if I even had hands, just floated through the void. And then a pull. At first, it was gentle, almost imperceptible, but it grew stronger, a force pulling me away from my lifeless body, away from the life I had known. I tried to resist, but it didn't matter. It was as if I were being guided toward something, a place or a presence that awaited me on the other side. Before we continue, I want to take a moment to share something special with you. If you're here, it's because you felt something stirring within you. Maybe you've experienced moments in your life where you sensed a presence, something beyond what we can explain. And I want to hear from you. If you want a chance to be mentioned in our next video, comment your name and your city below. Let the world hear your name, let thousands of people see it. It's your moment to shine. A small recognition, a connection between us, in this incredible community we're building together. And if you believe in messages that can change lives, if you feel that deep, unshakable feeling stirring inside you, go ahead and hit the like button. Subscribe to our channel, because this is more than just a video. It's a place where we come together, where we lift each other up, and where you are part of something much bigger than yourself. The force was undeniable, pulling me forward with a power I couldn't resist. It wasn't like walking or flying. I wasn't moving in any way my earthly mind could comprehend. And yet I was being drawn into something beyond my understanding. The world I had known, the familiar hum of my kitchen, the comfortable routine of daily life, was now a distant memory, slipping away into a past that felt as though it never truly belonged to me. The darkness around me was profound, but it wasn't the kind of darkness you encounter when you close your eyes. No, this was a deeper kind of void. The kind that felt infinite, like it had never known light. It swallowed everything, leaving no trace of the world I had left behind. But then, slowly, something began to change. In the distance, a glow. At first, it was faint, a flicker like the light from a candle, barely visible through the heavy darkness. But it grew, spread. The light expanded, illuminating everything in its path, until it became a tunnel of radiant gold. It wasn't just light, it was alive, pulsing, breathing, beckoning me forward. As I moved closer, or perhaps as the light moved toward me, I felt a warmth that surrounded me, a presence that filled the space in ways I couldn't explain. It wasn't just warmth, it was love, unfiltered and limitless. It wasn't something I could touch, but something that touched me deep within, reaching into the places I didn't know were empty. It was as if the very fabric of my soul was being embraced, cradled in something much larger than myself. In that moment, fear dissolved, replaced by a deep sense of peace. A peace so profound that I couldn't even comprehend how it was possible. All my doubts, my anxieties, everything I had ever carried, vanished, swept away by the presence of this love. The light, the warmth, it all felt so familiar, as if it were a place I had always known but had somehow forgotten. And as I moved closer to it, I could feel something stirring within me, an awakening I hadn't known I needed. And then I saw them, figures standing in the light, their forms emerging from the brilliance. At first, they were distant, their outlines barely distinguishable from the glow that surrounded them. But as I drew closer, they became clearer. People, hundreds, maybe thousands, standing together in the radiance. Their faces radiated something I couldn't describe. Joy, serenity, understanding. Some of them turned toward me, their eyes meeting mine. And in that instant I knew them. Not by name, not by memory, but in a way that transcended recognition. It was as if their souls were intertwined with mine in some deeper, unspoken way. I could feel that they knew me too. I opened my mouth to speak, to ask where I was, to demand no explanation for what was happening to me. But before the words could leave my lips, a voice filled the space around me. It wasn't loud, yet it carried more weight than any sound I had ever heard. It wasn't soft either. No, it wrapped around me, enveloping me like a whisper meant only for my ears. It didn't just speak to me, it resonated with me deep inside, in the very core of my being. And it called my name. Emily. The moment I heard it, I felt something stir inside me, something ancient and primal. It was as if this voice, this presence, was not new to me. I had known it before this moment, before this life. It was familiar. I knew it with every fiber of my being. And then I saw him. A figure stepped forward from the light. His presence so vast, so encompassing, that it felt like the very fabric of existence bent in his presence. I didn't need no introduction. I knew who he was. It was Jesus. His eyes met mine, and in that instant, I felt my soul laid bare before him. There was nothing I could hide, not that I wanted to. In his gaze there was no condemnation, no judgment, only love, pure, unconditional love. A love that was older than time itself. He spoke again, and the weight of his words changed everything. You were not meant to die today. His voice, calm yet powerful, resonated deep within me. His words weren't just a statement, they were a revelation. In that moment, I understood something that went beyond human comprehension. My life was not meant to end. Not now. But why was I here? What was this place? What was happening to me? The light around me pulsed, vibrant and full of life. It was no longer just a light, it was something more. It felt like a living entity, a presence that surrounded me with warmth and love. I was drawn forward not by my own will, but by something far greater. It wasn't just a physical pull. It was as if my soul itself was being led, guided by a force that transcended everything I knew. As I moved closer to the figure before me, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace that filled every corner of my being. There were no words to describe it, just a knowing, a deep, unshakable certainty that I was where I was meant to be. Everything that had come before this moment, every worry, every fear, seemed so insignificant in the presence of such profound love and light. The figure, Jesus, stood before me with eyes that seemed to pierce through my very soul. He wasn't angry, he wasn't harsh. There was no judgment in his gaze. Only truth. A truth that went beyond anything I had ever known, something that transcended time, space, and human understanding. His eyes held mine, steady and unwavering. And in that moment, I felt as though everything I had ever questioned in life, every doubt and every struggle, melted away. The weight of my existence seemed small in comparison to his infinite presence, yet I had never felt more seen, more loved, more understood. It was a feeling I couldn't describe, not in words, not in human terms. It was simply divine. He didn't need to say anything to make me understand. In that silence, I knew everything. And when he finally spoke, his voice was a quiet thunder that reverberated deep within me, shaking the very foundations of my soul. "You have been chosen," he said, his voice resonating with authority and love. "But not just for yourself, for them, for those who need to hear." My heart raced, my mind struggling to grasp the weight of his words. Chosen? For what? For them. Who were they? Before I could ask another question, he motioned for me to follow him. We began to move, though I couldn't tell if we were walking or if the very space around us was shifting. I felt myself moving, but it was as though the ground beneath me no longer mattered. The laws of reality seemed to bend and twist with each passing moment. We entered into a vast, endless space that stretched before me, beyond the grasp of any human imagination. It wasn't a place I could describe, it wasn't heaven, and it certainly wasn't earth. It was something in between, a realm that existed outside the boundaries of what I knew. And then, before me, scenes began to unfold. Not just any scenes, visions, each one more powerful and impactful than the last. They were flashes of a world in turmoil, a world I recognized, but not quite as I had seen it before. These images, visions, were deeper than any news report or article could ever convey. They were the essence of the world itself, the spiritual undercurrent that guided everything. I saw people, ordinary people, moving through their lives, but their eyes, those eyes were hollow. They smiled, laughed, spoke, but there was a disconnect, no invisible chasm between them and the world around them. The love that once united them seemed to be fading, replaced by indifference, confusion, and fear. I saw families sitting at dinner tables, but their hearts were miles apart. I saw churches once filled with joy and worship, now silent, their pews empty, their sanctuaries cold and lifeless. And then the vision shifted. I saw natural disasters, earthquakes, storms, violence. Nations turned against one another. People betrayed each other, communities falling apart. The world, the beautiful world I once knew, was tearing at the seams. And through all of this, there was no sense of randomness. It wasn't chaos. It was consequence. A consequence of choices made long ago. A consequence of turning away from truth. The world was blind, willfully blind. Terror gripped my heart as I realized the magnitude of what I was witnessing. This wasn't just a vision. This was the truth. The world had drifted too far from its purpose, too far from the love that had once been its guiding light. I turned to Jesus, my heart racing. "Why are you showing me this?" I whispered, though I already knew the answer. His gaze didn't waver, steady and full of sorrow. "Because they do not see." The weight of his words hung heavy in the air, suffocating me with the knowledge that the world had been blind to its own destruction. And worse, it seemed that time was running out. Before I could speak again, the vision shifted, and what I saw next would haunt me forever. The light that had surrounded me began to fade, and what lay before me became clearer. A vast, unfathomable expanse that stretched into eternity. But it wasn't just the expanse that captured my attention. It was the shift that had taken place within me. A deep realization was settling into my soul, one that I could not ignore. The presence of Jesus remained with me, steady and unwavering, as we moved forward into this realm beyond the earthly plane. His words, like powerful threads, had unraveled a truth within me that I hadn't fully understood until now. The visions had shown me the state of the world, a world in chaos and decay, but what Jesus had been guiding me toward was something much deeper. I saw a place within the expanse, something I couldn't quite describe, but it was beautiful, peaceful, radiant. A place of stillness, a stark contrast to the chaos I had witnessed. This place felt like the ultimate home, the destination of every soul seeking refuge, redemption, and light. The air around me shifted again. The colors, once dull, now bloomed with life, brighter than anything I had ever seen on earth. There was a sudden sense of clarity in the atmosphere, like everything that had been unclear was now revealed. But in this clarity, I also saw the truth of the warning. I saw people, everyday people, families, communities, leaders, struggling to understand what was unfolding around them. A disconnect had taken root so deep that it was now impossible for many to discern the truth from the lies. In this place I could see it so clearly, how the world was on the brink of something catastrophic. The visions that followed were so intense that they seemed to burn themselves into my very being. I saw the nations of the world, once united by the threads of peace, now standing divided. Governments wrangled over power, unable to find common ground. There were cries for justice, for change, but those cries were drowned out by the deafening noise of apathy and self-interest. And then the devastation. I saw cities swallowed by destruction, earthquakes shaking the foundations of everything, storms that seemed to tear the very skies apart, fires that devoured entire landscapes. People were lost, their hearts hardened, blind to the warnings that had been sent long ago. But there was something more, something darker beneath it all. I saw the forces at work, not just in the physical world but in the spiritual realm. Forces of deception, confusion, and manipulation. Those in power were making decisions behind closed doors, shaping the future of nations with no agenda that went beyond mere politics. And then I saw it, the most chilling vision of all. People who had once followed the light, now turning their backs on it. Some were unaware, lost in the noise of their lives, but others had chosen to ignore the truth. And with each decision to turn away, the world grew colder, darker. This was the warning. It wasn't just a prediction of disaster. It was the cry for change, for repentance, for a return to the truth that had always been there. A truth that had been forgotten, dismissed, or ignored. I turned to Jesus, my heart heavy with the weight of the revelation. I had seen enough to know that this wasn't just about the end of the world. This was about souls, about each and every person choosing the path of truth or the path of deception. His gaze met mine once more, filled with sorrow and urgency. "The time is now," he said, his voice carrying the gravity of eternity. And in that moment I understood. The world had reached a crossroads. A decision had to be made, either to continue on the path of destruction or to turn back, to return to the light, to the love that had always been waiting for us. Before we continue, I want to take a moment to connect with you personally. If you're watching this, I know you feel the weight of what's being shared. This isn't just a story, it's a message that's meant to reach you. If you'd like to be part of this journey and have your name mentioned in the next video, comment below with your name and the city you're watching from. Imagine this, thousands of people hearing your name, sending blessings your way. It's your moment to shine, and we want to celebrate you in this amazing community we're building together. And if you feel moved by the message, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video. This is more than just a video. It's a place where we come together to support and lift each other up, and you are part of something bigger than yourself. As I stood in the stillness of the space that surrounded me, a deep awakening began to take root within me. The urgency of the moment settled over me like a heavy cloak, a weight I could not ignore. The world I had once known, so familiar, so comforting, was slipping away, replaced by something far greater, far more important. This wasn't just a vision. It wasn't just a moment in time. It was the beginning of something eternal, a truth that could not be denied, a calling that could not be ignored. The light that had enveloped me seemed to shift, swirling around me with more intensity. It wasn't just warmth now, it was energy, a vibrant force that pulsed with purpose. I could feel it in every fiber of my being. It was as if the very air around me was charged with meaning, with significance. I felt something stirring within me, a desire to understand, to know why I was here, and what I was meant to do with what I had seen. Jesus stood beside me, his presence unwavering, a quiet strength that guided me through this moment of profound understanding. His eyes were filled with compassion, but there was something else there, something that spoke of a deep knowing, understanding of the weight of what had been shown to me. The destruction, the confusion, the division, it was all part of something larger, a larger spiritual battle that was unfolding before us. Do you understand now? His voice was gentle, yet filled with a weight that carried the depth of centuries. I nodded, though the gravity of it all still overwhelmed me. What I had witnessed, what I had seen with my own eyes, wasn't just a warning. It was a mission, my mission. The moment I realized this, I was overwhelmed by a sense of responsibility. I had been given the knowledge of what lay ahead, not for my own sake, but for the sake of those around me, for the sake of those who were still lost, still blinded by the distractions of the world. I wasn't meant to keep this truth to myself. I wasn't meant to ignore what I had seen. No, I had been sent back for a reason, to warn, to guide, to call others back to the light. There was no turning back now. There was only the mission ahead, a mission that would shape every part of my being, every step I took moving forward. The presence around me shifted, and I found myself standing on the edge of what felt like the threshold between worlds. The vision of the world's suffering faded, replaced by something else, a vision of hope. But this hope wasn't born out of wishful thinking. It was a hope born from the truth of what could be, if only people chose to see, to wake up, to return to what had always been there. I saw faces, real faces, not just abstract ideas or figures, but people. People who had lost their way but were now turning back. I saw families reconnecting, their hearts opening to each other once more. I saw communities coming together, their bonds strengthened by the realization that they were not alone. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't not instant transformation, but it was a start, a spark of light in the darkness. And then I saw myself. I saw the journey ahead of me, the steps I would have to take. It wasn't going to be easy. The world was not ready to hear what I had to say. But I knew one thing for certain: I had to speak. I had to share what I had seen, what I had felt. Because if even one person turned back, if even one person found their way to the light, it would all be worth it. Jesus's gaze met mine once more, filled with quiet encouragement. You will not be alone. The light will guide you. You have a voice, Emily, and the world needs to hear it. The weight of his words settled deeply within me. I was not alone. I had never been alone. And with that realization, I took a deep breath, feeling the energy of the mission surge within me. I was ready to share what I had seen, ready to spread the light no matter how difficult the path. As I stood in the presence of the divine, the weight of everything I had seen pressed deeply into my soul. It was no longer just a vision of the world as it was. It had become a call to action, a call that resonated within me, urging me to do something, to speak, to share the message I had been entrusted with. I wasn't the same person who had stood in my apartment, unaware of the profound truth that would soon change my life forever. I had been chosen, and now it was time to act. The space around me shimmered with light, a gentle but unyielding force that seemed to pulse in rhythm with my heart. I could feel the presence of Jesus beside me, guiding me as I took in the final moments of this awakening. It wasn't just a feeling anymore. It was certainty. I knew exactly what I had to do. I turned to look at the world before me, the faces of those I had seen in my visions. I saw them clearly now, not just as distant figures or fleeting shadows, but as real people. People who were lost, disconnected, and hurting. People who had turned their backs on the truth and now found themselves stumbling in the dark. But there was still hope. A flicker of light remained. And that light, I knew, could guide them back to where they truly belonged. Jesus spoke, his voice calm but filled with undeniable urgency. The time has come, Emily. It is not just about saving yourself, it is about reaching them. They need to hear the truth. His words echoed in my mind, and I understood. This was not just a personal journey, it was a collective mission. A mission that I had to take up, no matter the challenges. It would not be easy, and the path ahead would be fraught with resistance, but I had seen the truth. I had felt the love and the light. How could I keep it to myself? How could I not share what I had been shown? I turned back to the visions, watching as they unfolded before me. The people, those I had seen lost and blind, were now beginning to awaken. I saw them reaching for the light, even though it was hard, even though the world around them was crumbling. I saw them standing up, fighting back against the tide of deception, seeking truth with every ounce of their being. And that's when I knew, this was the turning point. This was the moment when everything could change. But change would not come easily. The world was in turmoil, and it would take a united effort to fight back. The darkness was powerful, and it had taken root in the hearts of many. But the light, true, unyielding light, was stronger. It was the only thing that could heal, restore, and transform. The path ahead would require courage. Courage to speak, courage to stand firm in the truth, and courage to lead others back to the light. But I knew one thing with certainty. We were not alone. We were never meant to walk this path alone. The divine presence that had guided me thus far would continue to guide us all. Together we would stand, and together we would make a difference. Before we continue, I want to take a moment to share something important with you. This channel, this community, isn't about making money. It's about sharing a message that we truly believe in. We do this because we feel it in our hearts, because we know this message can change lives. If you've been moved by what you've heard, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. By joining us, you're becoming part of something much bigger than just a video. It's a community, a place where we come together to support each other, to grow, and to spread this message of light and truth. We don't make money from this. We do it because we care. Your support, whether it's a like, a comment, or a subscription, means the world to us and helps us keep sharing these messages with those who need to hear them. The divine presence that had enveloped me remained, its warmth and strength continuing to guide me as I stood on the precipice of a new beginning. The journey I had started was far from over, but I felt something within me shift. A readiness, a clarity, a peace. I had been shown the truth, not just for myself but for the world around me. It was now my mission to carry that truth forward, to share what I had seen, and to help others find their way. The darkness that had loomed so large in my visions now seemed less powerful. I knew that no matter how great the deception, the light would always be stronger. The world had been lost, yes, but it could still be saved. There was still time, still a chance for those who were willing to listen, to see, to embrace the truth. I thought of the faces I had seen, faces that had been lost, wandering in the darkness. But now they had the opportunity to find the light. It wasn't a path they could walk alone, and I knew that, just as I had been guided, so too would others be guided. The choice was theirs, but the way forward was clear. Jesus' voice echoed in my heart as I took the next step on this journey. "The truth is here," he said softly, his words filled with love and certainty. "It's time for them to see. It's time for you to show them the way." I knew the road ahead would not be easy. The world was broken, divided. But the mission was clear, and I had no doubt that with the support of this community, this family of believers, we would see a change. The light that had been shown to me was not meant to remain hidden. It was meant to shine brightly, to reach those who were still waiting, searching for a way out of the darkness. With every step I took, I felt the weight of the mission settling deeper into my soul. I had seen the world's future, but more importantly, I had seen its potential. The choice was not lost. We could still turn things around. But it was going to take all of us, together, to make it happen. Before we close, I want to invite you to continue this journey with us. There's more to this message. More that will reveal itself and transform your life in ways you can't yet imagine. Simply click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now. And before you go, please give this video a like and comment. Amen. By doing so, you're declaring your faith, and you're ensuring that you continue to be blessed as we move forward together in this journey of truth. Your support, your participation, it means more than you know. Thank you for being part of this community, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you.